Hello there, everyone, and welcome to Telling Tales. We make atmospheric tabletop role-playing games, and we actually play them for you here on the internet. Although some of them I definitely have a weirder atmosphere than others, and tonight is one of those. It's Into the Odd, the latest episode of that, our weird, exploratory hex crawl and dungeon bash of the Iron Coral continues. And before I start bringing on the crew to say hello and doing recaps, let's do that fun promo we all enjoy so much. If you check down below the video, you'll find a bunch of links. Links to YouTube, links to Twitch. You're watching on one, please check out the other. Links to Patreon and Discord and social media, all those things you can dabble in should you wish. We're running 3 weekly streams at the moment. Mondays is Warhammer, Wednesdays is Into the Odd, and Thursdays is Cincinnati Chronicles, which is our World of Darkness anthology series. We also run one-shot per month, the most recent of which was this Saturday just gone, where we played Morkborg and had a lot of fun doing so. The rest of our one-shots historically are over on our YouTube if you want to check them out. There's a lot of different systems we've played over time. We're looking at some point in July for our next one-shot to be playing a relatively new system called Absurdia, which Pierre is going to be running. It's powered by the Apocalypse system, and it's really weird and therefore perfectly suited to Pierre, who is also really, really weird. So there we go. Let's start bringing on the players and talking about what happened last time. Although before we bring on the recap players, I'm going to bring on a player who isn't recapping because he wasn't with us last week. So say hello, everyone, to Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm very glad to be back. Sounds like I missed out on a lot. So
You certainly did. Sam plays Tiva Oliphant, as you can see portrayed in her oil painting portrait there. That is actually what she looks like. It's not a Lego representation. So.
Exactly like that. Has a Lego person-shaped head, just out of coincidence.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be better maybe if then we didn't show all the other art things as Lego, and it was just like, no, Tiva's just made of Lego. And it would also be quite Into the Odd, but there we go. All right, let's start talking about the recaps of last week, and I'm fully expecting... I'm mainly watching Sam's reactions to a lot of this, because a lot did indeed happen.
I'm excited.
Week. Definitely. And we're going to start with Stephen. Stephen plays Grabina Gill, a character Sam is unfamiliar with.
Yep.
So, yeah, let's get into it.
Well, so I guess we should start with Helroth, right? The session before last, he was seen disappearing headfirst down a foamy chute. There he is. He sort of wound up in a strange kind of white marble room somewhere deep below. Wasn't followed by any of his teammates, and so just kind of cheerfully started exploring, really. The room he was in had a few doors. He tried one. He sort of strode off. We briefly caught up with him later in a different room, running from some kind of robotic monstrosity, as I recall. Like, wherever he is and what's going on for him, like, Helroth probably is having a good time, because it's almost impossible for him to not have a good time. But any sane person...
Yeah, would probably be distressed at running away from, I believe, a robot trying to envelop him in his pain wires.
Wires, that was the thing.
Yeah, so that's where we left Helroth.
He was having a day. So, but, actually, around that sort of time, Grobina Gill stumbled into the Iron Coral. She's an attractive... but kind of thick, former hog slaughterer, who just, I think it's fair to say, just turned proceedings a little bit sort of into like a Carry-On movie, really.
They did, with both Munford and Mike's character sort of struck by this. What I think it's literally the term you rolled on the character thing is attractive dullard. So,
attractive dullard,
yeah.
Yes, who who became an adventurer due to rumors of personal depravity. So yeah, it just got weirdly smutty. They explored a few different rooms together. There was a kind of I'd say like an aquarium, but it was actually under the sea, right? But there was a glass wall they could see out to sea, and there was weird creatures in there, and there were other rooms. There was a room with kind of weird yellow pus or custard or some kind of fluid running down the walls and kind of emanating from some pulsating sack, which Grobina decided to shoot to see if there was treasure inside. There was not.
Not unless you really like yellow pus.
Yeah, there was pustard. Yeah, I don't know. And there was a crazy guy in there that had come from deeper inside the coral and was really shifty and told them, not to go that way. So everybody did. And we just kind of, just followed a kind of a maze of assorted sort of passageways. And
yeah, there were weird rooms.
Yeah.
Weird place. There was a jerking chamber. Let's not forget that.
There was a jerking chamber. Well, I think
you'd already been in the jerking chamber once, but you figured it out.
The room with the human-sized cages, right?
Yeah, and the dry, like the dry air and stuff.
Oh yeah,
It was used for making jerky, hence the jerking chamber. So yeah, like you say, carry on, absolutely. And to fill out how like the second half went, we're skipping a lot of the rooms because it was like, just leaping between things. But let's bring on our final player tonight. Mike won't be joining us tonight. Let's bring on Chris, who plays Doran Creed, former butler turned exploring butler. Yeah, Chris, why don't you talk to us about the second half last time?
Doran is coping just fine with his breakdown. Thanks for inquiring. So one of the features of the Iron Coral is its meat dungeon. Occasionally we come across meat walls where with a little bit of coaxing we can find our way into kind of hidden zones. Within one of these zones we found like some pairs of jaws on the side. But fixed in location, which was a nice so we decided to beat them up. And once we had beaten them up, we found quite a considerable amount of loot and a number of rifles and a decent amount of armor. Doran kind of grabbed the armor. Then we moved on kind of toward the end of our explorations of what must be the extent of this level. We found a very large chamber with two very ornate doors, one on either side. I believe one was red and one was white, and they were not forcible doors. But I believe Mumford and the others went towards the white door, and Doran went towards the red door. Mumford and the others could not get into the white door, but Doran has no problem getting into the red door, where he found a scary glove, which has been entered onto my list of things as the Death Hand, which I'm now wearing because that's obviously a conflict-free piece of haute couture, which I'm just going to enjoy protecting my hand with.
Absolutely, definitely nothing weird about it.
We then went through one of the kind of less tricky door into a room with a kind of large kind of moon pool type thing, which kind of sort of allowed kind of access to the outside sea. And Mumford got a bit spooked, asked us all to kind of stay back and keep clear because it's quite dangerous, and emphasized to quite some length about how dangerous it was, and was just making sure that everyone, especially Grobina, knew that he was well aware of these things and this was quite dangerous and that we shouldn't take it lightly, at which a giant sea gribbly came through the glass and literally bit him in half. And he's gone now.
Absolutely. Munford Dunbell, famed explorer, explores no more. So You are left in a room with, as you say, a kind of moon pool style thing that has some kind of horrible yellow sea serpent, presumably still swimming around in it with what remains of Munford deep in its belly. And in front of you, a set of very nice boots that are rather red and ragged at the top now. To the just a leap straight into the old kind of mapping of it. Although it does occur to me that Mike was our mapper, so we may need to have another mapper but not immediately. So not immediately. So we'll cover it later. But I just want to get the geography of this room sorted for you now. So yeah, to the left of the room, you're kind of, it's fair to say you're all staring at where Munford used to be. And to the left, there is a big door with symbols, like odd arcane symbols and a braid pattern. And to the right, there are stairs leading downwards. And that's it. And the surface of the moon pool is definitely swirling a bit. It's quite, rough. So it's entirely up to you whether you want to get a bit closer to it like Munford did, or whether you want to continue your explorations, whether they be to the door or the stairway, kind of leaving a very wide berth of that pool of water on the ground.
So that the pool is not like taking up a huge amount of the room. Like we can get around it.
It is, but it is a big room as well. So you can definitely skirt around the room further away than Munford was. Like, let's say the edge of the pool is 20 feet from each wall. And Munford was snapped up about maybe 10, like halfway there. Hey, it still might not work, but you could give it a go. I don't think we actually reacted at all to Munford's demise last time, so feel free to do some of that if you want.
Oh,
well, gosh,
Mr. Dumbo.
I think maybe the creature was tired of hearing him talk.
I think he's gone.
I think he is, yeah.
I rarely reference chat, but the chat has exclaimed the snuff box. He definitely had the snuff box on him when he got grabbed. But hey, maybe you want to fight the sea serpent to get the snuff box back. Who am I to say? Just a firm shaking of head from Sam there. Wonderful.
What can we do now? That's man for dumbbell.
It got a bit eaten, didn't he? I mean, he was quite old.
Well, look, if I can give one piece of advice to you all, one noble lordling is pretty much the same as the other. I'm sure we'll be able to find a replacement back in town if we need one. But for the moment, I think we should loot this place for all it's worth, I believe, is the adventuring thing to do.
Sounds good. Who wants his boots?
I'm not going near them. They're covered in goo.
I don't think I'm really worthy of Mumford Dumbbell's boots. I say we leave them here as a monument to his career.
A monument to be proud of.
It's what he would have wanted.
It's what he would have wanted. Let's check out this weird door with the scribblings.
That's probably also what he would have wanted. Let's do that.
All right. Yeah, I take it we're steering well clear of the pool.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Are there any stones I can skimp now?
No.
Sadly, no. You could break a bit of coral off the wall, maybe.
No.
So you go over to these large kind of ornate doors with their odd symbols on them. There you are. Are we pushing them open?
Not before I knock politely.
Sure. There is no response.
There's a protocol here, Yeah, I will try to push them open.
Okay. You open the door to a room. It's also quite large, but not as large as this one. It has stone walls that have that same braided pattern on them and the same symbols that were on the door as well, but these ones are glowing ever so slightly. On 3 stone plinths at the far side of the room are large crystal spheres that look to maybe have some kind of significance, but certainly to have some kind of value to them. And in front of them are a number of, do you remember those pale humanoid beings? You've seen like one of them dead, and maybe you saw another one of them by the jaw, the wall jaws.
The sort of weirdly hungry zombie-like things.
Yeah. Well, there's
emaciated. They're like thin, aren't they?
They are. There are a number of them stood around the room. They look feeble and cold, as the others did, with pale white eyes, and they seem unresponsive to your presence so far.
So, humor me, but this location, this device, this coral did appear quite suddenly from nowhere, which implies that it can ambulate itself. This seems to me like, move around. This seems to me like the kind of place that unknowable creatures from the deep might control it from, perhaps.
This is where they control the ambulance.
I wouldn't mind getting a look at those those pearls over there. I wonder if I sail past without. Hang on, one of you go first. I'll get the rifle ready.
I will draw my sword and dagger.
All right, Grobina's going to try stealthing it like a ninja across the room.
Fair enough. Why don't you give me a dexterity check then, please? I know it's the least of your incredibly high stats.
Yeah, I need a 12. I got an 11, so
there we go.
Happy days.
Grobina tiptoes across the room, negotiating around all these unresponsive, lurking husks, and you find yourself by the spheres. They are nice and shiny and crystal.
Ooh, how big? Like bowling ball? Like
it doesn't say, but I imagine them as kind of bowling ball size, yeah.
Okay. I am going to try to pick one up.
Okay. Predictably, the moment you touch one, the husks start to go and, raising their arms and looking at each of you with, I don't know, a kind of eternal hunger. So I think unless we want to, are we going to try and negotiate with the husks, or are we just opening fire?
I already had the rifle open, so I'm ready to.
Is there a willpower roll involved?
Yeah, well, you know what? You can make a willpower roll. It probably won't stop them attacking, but it might change how they do things.
I did actually pass the willpower roll, yeah. So as much as they can see through their eternal hunger. Yeah,
well, I'm going to rule that as by your, by your skill at lurking that you've already shown. They maybe don't go for you first. Perhaps they see the the rifle as the bigger threat, so they're gonna go for Doran Creed, I think, for Tiva and Doran at the doorway. It also doesn't say how many husks there are there, so I am just gonna roll a die for how many husks there are. Okay, there are 4 husks around the room. He said, desperately trying to find some clean paper to write stuff on. Oh my god. What's going on? I live a paperless existence. There we go. So, with that in mind, you guys said you were good to go. So, why don't we have you to go first. And in fact, Doran Creed, you said you had your musket out and stuff.
Yeah, I saw where this was going.
Yeah. So why don't we have you go first, and then we can decide what order Tiva and Grabina go in after that. So
D8 rifle damage. That's a 3.
That is a 3. So one of the husks, you put some musket round through the husk's chest. It would be a killing blow for any normal human, you suspect, but this humanoid, cold and pale husk bears it with a very small amount of blood trickling out of its chest. It doesn't seem to really notice it, but you suspect that, if you shoot them enough times in the chest, they don't have a chest anymore, and it's kind of hard to go for someone like that, you'd hope, at least. Tiva, Grabina, who's going next?
It's exactly what they taught us at Butler School.
I'd be happy to go next. I don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna try and sword and dagger the nearest one to me.
Sure.
Try and chop its head off or something. It's a D8. I rolled a 2.
Okay, I mean that is not that's not more than what Chris did. You know what? Actually, I need to roll for criticals here, don't I? When they get hurt. So actually, Chris, that's what you thought about the husk when you first shot it, but now it stumbles, kind of stumbles to its knees and topples forwards. You'll have to excuse me, folks. I just ran a 6-hour session of Morkborg on Saturday. So in my head, and it's not entirely dissimilar in mechanics. So in my head, all I have is the Morkborg rules. So I need to roll for these criticals, and I'll roll for one for you as well, Tiva. You kind of like bound forward and thrust. Is it a saber you've got? Does it say or?
I think I have just a pretty standard looking sword and dagger.
Standard sword.
Yeah.
That deals standard damage. You bound forward and thrust your sword through one of the quite easily strikeable husks, and it gives a kind of noise, slides off and crumples against the wall. Nice. Grabina.
Cool. So assuming that I was able to actually pick the thing up, I've kind of got this thing under one hand, pull out the pistol with the other hand, whichever one is closest to me. I think I'm going to try and aim for the weak point of the husk, which I theorize to be the face.
They call Grabina a dullard.
I know. Yeah, I got 2.
That is fine. Absolutely nailing these damage rolls tonight, folks. But it's, you know what? Your Grabina's suspicion of the weak point works because you shoot it in the face and it falls over. Yeah. I'm trying to describe things in simple terms for Grabina.
Yeah, short words, please.
Yeah. Only one of the husks remains, and that husk. I said they were going to avoid Grabina, so I will roll to see who they lurch for. They're going to lurch for Tiva Oliphant. And then it is going to... I keep putting away my dice thing, even though I need more dice. Different kinds of dice. I need a D4, which is a statement no one has ever made before tonight. So, do you have any armor, Tiva?
I think I don't.
I think you also don't. And I think you're also going to take 3 health points of damage.
Okay. That doesn't... I have 5, so I'm not...
Okay, that's all right then. That's all right. The husk kind of lurches towards you, hands outstretched, and just sort of like batters at you, kind of flailing with cold, pale, not terribly powerful fists, but enough to kind of like, it knocks you a bit in the eye, and it definitely stings and hurts a bit. You're kind of blinking to get the tears out of your eyes. And then we go round again. Do we think Tiva should go first to reply?
Yeah, let's get the riposte in.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna, since it's all up on me, I'm gonna try and dagger it a bit.
Sure.
And I rolled a 6 for damage.
Well then. Inflamed by the impudent battering this thing has given you on your precious face, you thrust out, plant the dagger directly into the thing's eye. It gives a regretful little gurgle and slips off and collapses on the ground. Grabina, could you do a will save for me, please?
Sure. That's a pass.
Okay. You feel odd for a moment, and then you're fine. And that's all I'm going to describe.
Cool. How does this thing feel that I've picked up? Is it heavy? Is it pulsating? Is it?
It's quite heavy. It's not giving out any signs of kind of like existence beyond being a crystal sphere. It isn't like an odd temperature or doing anything odd. It's just a crystal sphere that's quite bulky. In fact, I would say it is literally bulky.
Cool. Well, Grabina has a musket, which I imagine is slung over her back.
Musket is also bulky.
She used a pistol there because she forgot that she was carrying the musket. It's definitely Grabina's fault, not mine.
Absolutely.
Okay,
let's look up how bulky works again. Just because.
I thought it was that you could carry 3 before you start getting like strength penalties.
Yeah, I thought it was 3.
But you could only like hold and use one of them at a time, right?
Anybody carrying 3 or more bulky items is reduced to 0 HP. So you can carry 2 before you start to penalty, and then you're reduced to 0 HP.
I guess because HP represents like ability to dodge and stuff. So if you're lugging loads of things around, okay,
exactly.
Then Grabina is going to take the crystal ball that she has and just kind of beckon over to the others and be like, "Free balls."
They're bound to be worth something.
Look like it.
Oh,
I'll go over and pick one up.
same.
Absolutely. Right. Both of you roll a will save then, please.
Oh, good.
I held my phone, as I often do, up to the camera triumphantly before realizing that that's not going to work because my internet's garbage. I rolled a 5. That's a pass.
Good.
I rolled a 15, which is definitely a fail.
Okay. Well, Doran Creed, then, you feel a bit weird for a moment, and that's it. Tiva, you pick up the crystal sphere or globe, and you feel a sort of wave of peace washing over you, and calmness and stillness. The crystal sphere it's so nice. It's so pleasing and calming that you feel like you could just put it back on the plinth and stand here and just look at it and guard it forever. Tiva has put the crystal sphere back on the plinth and is now standing just gawk-eyed staring at it. Looking a little pale too.
Don't you want it?
Can I hear this and respond to this? Or no?
You can kind of hear this like a distant, like a little voice in the background of a dream or something. You can kind of hear. It's up to you whether you want to respond in any way.
I think Tiva would just like very slightly shake her head while still staring at the crystal ball.
Oh, enchanted balls, is it?
I don't know. Is she normally like this?
No.
Oh.
Let's get her out of the room. See if we can freshen her up at the. See if a little bit of maybe, I don't know, Can you play fetch with the sea serpent? Maybe that'll wake her up.
Cool. Tiva offers no resistance as you kind of grab her and drag her out of the room. Tiva, as soon as you pass the doors, you feel fine. And you can remember everything. You can remember exactly what happened.
Oh, that was a bit strange. I don't think I'll pick that up again.
Did it tell you anything? Did it tell you where more valuable items, but similar items, could be found, perhaps?
It's a crystal ball, Doran. I don't think it can talk.
So, you went a bit strange in there.
It did go a bit strange.
I think there must be something wrong with it. It made me. I don't know. I didn't like it. I'm not going back in there.
Oh, well, mine's all right.
Mine's fine.
All
well,
right,
better luck next time.
Keep them away from me. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to go near those things.
Have you got yours noted down as a bulky item, Doran?
Yes, I now have a suit of armor, which we agreed doesn't count because I'm wearing it.
Yeah.
I have the Yum Yum Circle, which is probably worth money, hopefully. And I've got my rifle, which is 2 bulky items.
So that's 2, so that's fine. Cool. Okay. The only kind of way onwards in this floor of the Iron Coral that you've encountered is the stairs down on the other side of the sea serpent pool.
I guess we will skirt around the pool and head down, right?
Yeah.
Sounds good. You do that thing, and as you do, we will briefly do an embarrassing PowerPoint fade away to 2 floors below, where Stephen, could you roll a d20, please?
Sure. It's a 1.
It's a 1.
It's either very good or very bad.
Helroth is stood in a rather remarkable room where one entire wall is taken up by a huge golden face, eyeless, open, toothless mouth with some kind of coruscating white hole inside it. It's kind of like, sucking bits of coral and dust and other nearby things sort of into it, not with enough force to threaten Helroth. But Helroth is kind of like, I'd say he's at the moment, he's just staring at like, what do I do about this? Any insights into Helroth's next actions or anything he might say?
Good afternoon.
The golden face continues saying exactly what it was saying before, which is...
Quiet type, are you? Not to worry.
And with that, we will skip back upwards, where some lovely individuals are walking down some stairs, and that takes them down to that room. At which point, we're going to need a new mapper. So Chris or Sam, sounds like you're up for this one. Sam, do you reckon you can do it since Chris is camless?
Yeah, I don't have a piece of paper, but I'll do a I'll do a terrible paint map.
Yeah, sounds good.
If that's what people want.
Sounds thrilling. So where you find yourself, friends, is you find yourself in what seems to be, to all intents and purposes, some form of coral garden. The floor and walls are covered in colourful dried coral, kind of very delicate and fragile. Behind you in the north wall of this chamber are stairs leading upwards. There is some kind of opening or passageway on the south side of the room that looks like it has been kind of blocked by coral. It's kind of the same delicate, fragile, colourful rainbow coral as all the rest of the room, but it seems to have grown over that passageway. And on the west side of the room is an open passageway from which, even from here, coming down on the north side of the room, you can feel a kind of gentle, warm air coming from.
Okay. On the east side was nothing?
Yeah, nothing. Just a wall covered in that colourful coral. And I suddenly realised I have not rolled on the... Oh, that's fine.
It's nice, isn't it?
Very pretty. Looks very delicate as well. Perhaps we should try and cause a little less destruction here.
Well, I haven't caused any destruction. Well, I mean, apart from
well, I have.
There was the pus sack, but I think it had it coming.
The things here are trying to destroy us too, so I think it's fair if you ask me.
My old gran always said that you can't make an omelette without smashing a few coral flowers. She was mad.
Let's
She
just
sounds
go
it.
to the opening we don't have to excavate.
Yeah, right.
Sure, absolutely. You can see it's a very short passageway, short enough to be marked as a door if you want, Sam, that leads to a sort of soothing cave where the floor and walls are made of a softly glowing stone that seems to be emitting a kind of comforting warmth. It's got a kind of like yellowish white glow to it, and it just feels quite nice, actually, like you're being just sort of kind of gently bathed in warmth from this glowing stone. There is a corridor to the north of the room that has, in contrast with the warm air coming out of the door as you came in here, that has musty air coming out of it. There's an open passageway, obviously back where you came from. There is a door, quite an unremarkable door given the setting, set in the west wall. Oh, and nothing.
Well, I know how to handle doors, if you'll excuse me, friends.
He's good at doors, isn't
Go up and
he?
give a very polite knock.
He's very good at doors. Yeah. There is no response. Sorry, I had to check whether there'd be anything to respond in there, you know?
Does this person answer door knocks or not?
Well,
I see. I say that. So at first there is no response, and then we'll see if there is something else. At your knocking, there is no response from the door, but at the kind of sound of the loud rapping through cracks in the softly glowing stone all around you, come a small inoffensive little swarming of weird fish bugs that kind of look like little kind of like carapace covered fish with legs that kind of swarm out of a few cracks around the room and sort of with a sort of disturbed chittering noise scuttle off in various directions through the passageways on the other side of the room. They don't seem too happy about being woken up, but they also seem like small, inoffensive fish bugs. So, you know.
Well, that aside, given that they're not attacking me, I will wait the perfectly polite amount of time and then open the door to enter.
Absolutely. You open into in opposed to the last soothing cave, this is a sticky cave. You immediately, as soon as you set foot in, the floor and walls are covered in an odd, soft, and sticky white rock that I'm going to say is quite like, rock. I don't know if people outside of the UK are familiar with rock. Or outside of the UK and Ireland, I should say, are familiar with rock. Do Americans and Europeans have the concept of rock? I don't mean they're watching this now, going, "Yeah, we know what rocks are." You
not the geology,
not the geology,
or
it's
the music.
a kind of sweet treat if you have teeth of iron.
It's
hey, Yanks, have you heard of rocks? There
Yeah.
are a lot of them underneath you.
It's sort of like, I guess, similar to like Christmas candy canes, but
Yeah,
like
candy cane. Yeah, it's like candy cane, but it's
like
not
boiled
candy.
sugar, basically.
Yeah. But anyway, it's kind of like that, and the footing is soft and sticky. The walls are soft and sticky. In the corner, there is a large, wet, white stone that seems to be made of sort of the same stuff. There's obviously the door behind you, and there is a corridor in the leading off from the south wall.
Well, I suppose a sticky corridor is better than a musty one.
My gran always said that as well.
Was everyone in your family mad, Robina, or just those two?
Those two, gran.
I do think Rabina has stated the same person both times.
Oh, could have been a different grand.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, I'll cautiously make my way through the sticky room toward the sticky corridor, and hope the others tag along.
Like very reluctantly.
I'll take a look at the rock in the corner. Is there anything interesting on it?
Sure.
It?
Well, why don't you tell me how you're taking a look at it?
I'll walk over to it. If there doesn't seem to be anything visibly dangerous, I will give it a tap with the pommel of my dagger.
It definitely doesn't react as you sort of walk up to it. It looks to be kind of the same substances on the floor and the walls, but there's something not quite the same about it that you can't put your finger on. You tap it with your dagger, and it erupts into life as a kind of glutinous, thin thing made of flappy, sticky white bits that slap out at you in a kind of desperately disturbed defense.
I'm going to need a sound effect, Matt.
I am.
Thanks.
I am now going to roll for the attack against you, which is classified as sticky slaps.
Okay, nice.
With a hyphen. So
Sticky
there
slaps.
we go.
That's adorable.
And is, you know what? Surprisingly high damage.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. Oh, by the way, you should have healed by now, right? I believe you. Don't you heal? A few minutes of rest and a swig of water recovers all of the character's lost HP. I'm happy for you to have done that in the intervening time because we didn't think about HP. So I'm happy for you to do that, which is just as well because you just took 5 HP of damage from sticky slaps. Which I'm going to say, literally, it's like taking, in the same way that actually being slapped hurts a hell of a lot. And if you're not prepared for it, can properly send you. And Tiva's like sliding a little backwards across the floor and now has her entire back covered in that horrible sticky white stuff. This glutinous fin thing is just kind of like hunched over in the corner, still flapping around with its fins. It doesn't seem to have any inclination to kind of like flop over towards you and hit you further. But it definitely hurts. Yeah.
Does anything happen to me for going to 0 HP?
No, it's when you take damage over that, it's removed from your strength score, and then you have to roll a critical damage. So taking exactly your HP is fine as long as you have a moment shortly to take a rest and have a drink.
Nice. I'm gonna sheepishly help get up and back away.
Sure. As you do that and kind of back away, the slappy fin thing kind of like slows and then stops and then kind of like hunches over, and all the lines between all the different weird fins and flaps sort of gel together as that sort of sticky white, and now because you have like a little bit of the gunk on the surface of it in your mouth, slightly sweet stuff kind of blurs together until it just looks like a kind of rock hunched over in the corner again. You're starting to get an uncomfortable feeling about what's covering the floor and the walls is all just stuff off this glutinous creature.
Yeah.
Well,
I wish I had done that.
I was just an observer, and I find that unpleasant.
It was, Darren. It really was.
Are we sure that a sticky corridor is better than a musty one?
Well, it doesn't seem to be making any moves to prevent us from going down the corridor, so we're halfway there.
Maybe if we just leave all the other rocks alone, we'll be okay.
Fair enough. Are we going down this corridor to the south then, rather than retreating to the musty air passageway?
It seems so.
Okay. Well, this corridor that you're going down to now, it has a... so the corridor leads to the south a little way, and then it turns right so that it leads to the west. And you actually tramp along this for quite some time now. And it's worth noting that once you're past the coral garden, much of the walls and the floors and the ceiling in this area are far more rocky than they are sort of the coral, the iron coral from above. So presumably as you're going down into the depths of this thing, the nature of it seems to be changing quite a bit. And you tramp along this corridor for, a fair way. Maybe the length of a couple of rooms or so, I will say, as a helpful guide for Sam there. And then you emerge into quite a large chamber that is best described by saying that there is a corridor, obviously a corridor you've emerged from, that has is kind of redolent with the sweet smell of the glutinous stuff from the previous room. There is another corridor dead ahead of you, from which fresh air is emerging, and another corridor to the north, from which you can hear the sound of trickling water. On the floor are two rotting human corpses, with a sword and an axe lying nearby. And on the south wall, there is pinned up a mounted suit of violet plate armor.
Ooh. Well, I already have a nice breastplate, so if that'll fit one of you. If not,
It's pretty, isn't it?
I'd absolutely upgrade.
Well, I think Tiva missed out on a lovely ball. So, do you want the armor? I'll have it.
I wouldn't mind it. It does seem quite dangerous around here. Maybe it would be helpful. Stop me getting slapped again. I'll go and
Hang on a minute. Are those other gentlemen kind of reaching out toward the armor? Like,
No, they look
in what
like
condition are they?
They are rotting, so it's hard to tell the manner of their death. But they're like collapsed near each other, and there is a sword and axe lying nearby that look like they may have essentially killed each other with the sword and the axe.
Oh. Well, maybe they were fighting over the armor. We have no such qualms, so you're welcome to try that.
I'll try and get it.
Okay.
Be on the lookout. I'll walk over to it.
As you kind of walk over to the armor, kind of tell me how you're investigating it. Your last investigation went so well, so
Remind me where the armor was in the room again.
It's kind of pinned to the south wall, like up on the wall slightly, but easily within reach.
Okay. I definitely have my sword and dagger out. I'm being very careful to avoid the rotting bodies, and just being careful about where I tread. But other than that, I'm just walking up to the armor. Maybe I'll poke it with my sword, see if it reacts in any way.
Absolutely. Well, as you do so, you are glad that you did so because one of the legs of the armor kind of starts jiggling a little bit, and you kind of gird yourself ready for the armor to leap off the wall and maybe start attacking you. But then instead, a rather large, very sort of violently colored snake emerges from one of the gaps in the armor's leg, sort of drops to the ground, slithers away from you a little bit, and kind of like turns round and gazes up at you with sort of definitely some form of like, not a particularly animalistic look. Can you give me a willpower roll, please? And it's worth noting that I'm going to say the snake is actually cut. It looks very similar to those pretty, multicolored coral in that first room down here you encountered. It has the look of being able to blend in amongst that very well.
Okay. I need a 9. I rolled a 14, so I do not make it.
The snake kind of looks up at you and goes, "Away!"
What was that, Mr. Snake?
Away!
We should go away.
Away! It
From
it seems to be kind of like slithering, kind of slowly backing away from you.
I will back away from it towards my companions. Away from what? From the armor? From this room? From this place?
Snake.
Okay, Mr. Snake, I hear you loud and clear.
It doesn't seem to
Can
be
we
trying
hear the
to
snake
like. Sorry? What'd you say, Chris?
loud and clear, or is this something that's going on entirely in Tiva's head?
Oh,
Can
yeah,
we hear
yeah.
what
You
the
can
snake
hear the
is saying, or
yeah,
is this a Tiva thing?
Absolutely, you can hear what the snake is saying.
Okay.
Sounds excited. Oi! Snake.
He says to go away. I don't think we should.
Oh, I thought he was just saying, oi!
It has to be said, the snake is kind of backing away towards like another part of the room. It doesn't seem to be kind of trying to drive you away from maybe the armor so much as just, piss off. Don't come near me.
Okay, so like nervous rather than aggressive.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we take the armor, Mr. Snake, if you don't mind? We could use it.
The snake kind of tilts his eyes and takes a look at the armor and goes, "Take." If it had shoulders, it would shrug.
Oh,
Okay, Tiva.
I will jog back
We'll
towards the armor
Keep our distance.
and try and pry it off the wall.
You absolutely do so. As you do so, kind of the helm comes off and maybe tumbles to the floor a bit. The armor, although it is violet plate armor, it looks very exciting. You have to say it's maybe a bit thinner and more perhaps like ceremonial seeming than you had first thought on glance. It is also worth noting there is absolutely a shriveled corpse inside it.
Okay, I'll try and get the shriveled corpse out. exactly that movement.
You can, in fact, do that, and once you do, it's very clear that you think this armor would fit you quite well.
I'm gonna move away from where I got the armor, back towards where my companions are, but then start trying to put the armor on.
Absolutely. The snake at this point is kind of backed off all the way to the other side of the room, unless anyone wants to have any particular, interactions with it. It's just going to watch you all suspiciously from one corner of the room as you go about your business.
That's kind of adorable.
I've never seen a talking snake before. It's quite exciting.
Right.
You know, next time I come adventuring, I think I'm going to bring some kind of disinfectant.
What?
Seems like
What?
it'd be useful, right?
That might be the kind of idea that Mumford would say was a great idea if he were still with us. How does the armor fit, Tiva?
Fits very nicely. I think this should serve me well.
It is armor 1, and you can also enter it as an arcanum called the Violet Carapace,
Oh, fancy.
whose weird magical properties, or perhaps scientific properties, or natural philosophical properties are as yet unknown to you, but they'll crop up in time, I'm sure.
But the last owner was dead and pinned to a wall, so...
Does not make me invincible.
Happens to the best of us.
Can I also take this
Well,
opportunity to have a drink of water and a short rest?
You absolutely can. Get your HP back.
I might, if I have. Do we have food with us? I guess we.
Yeah, I don't really think into the adventures into the world of, like, you know, rations.
Yeah.
And
If I have a little
stuff
bit
like
of
that.
food somewhere on my person, I'll throw something to the snake. See if he wants to eat.
What kind of thing do you throw to the snake?
Well, something. If I have any like dried meat or something, that seems like I might.
Sure, okay.
Adventure.
You know what? The snake kind of like looks down at the proffered thrown thing and kind of like kind of gulps it down in one like a snake would, and just kind of looks at you with a sort of balanced, still slightly distrusting glance and says, "Thanks." And then you know what? The snake probably, with that, wriggles off into a crevice on the wall.
Tiva's gonna kind of be like strutting around in her new armor, very pleased with it.
Looks good, babes.
Thanks, Rowena. I really like it.
Proper suits you.
So, unless there's anything more to be done in here, I believe we have two exits. The one on the west wall has a sort of smell of fresh air coming from it, and the one on the north has the sound of trickling water. Unless you want to retrace your footsteps and go for one of the other passageways you haven't gone for.
I've slightly missed these exits and entrances. There's one on the west wall, and
Yeah, there's one on the west wall where there's fresh air coming from, and one on the north where there's a sound of trickling water, and one on the east, which is where you've entered.
Okay. That's the north one I was missing.
Well, I reckon since we're under the sea, we should see about the water.
Yeah, might be a leak we need to patch.
Can be dangerous.
Grobina's going to stride off to the north.
Absolutely.
I think I'm getting the hang of this adventuring business.
So
She's so dead now.
so you head off to the north, and again, it's quite a longer corridor, maybe the length of a room or so. And when you come to the end of it, you emerge into a quite rough and but a rough-walled but even in dimensions square cave. The floor has a oh no, actually, hang on. No, okay, actually, sorry. What you reach first is what appears to be the end of the corridor ending in a wall covered in bristles. There are some dead shellfish caught between the bristles, but through it you can hear the stronger sound of trickling water.
Do they look like organic?
Either organic or they were once organic and are now kind of like desiccated and a bit dead.
Okay. I don't really know how to deal with bristles.
I'm at a loss as well.
I will poke them with my sword.
I mean, you cut through them.
Do I cut like? Am I cutting off bristles or am I cutting through like a wall?
I mean, what do you want to do?
I'll try and poke through it.
Yeah, you seem to. There's something solid, like a little way through them, but definitely you think you can hack these bristles down with a little bit of application of effort.
We'll start trying to cut a hole through the bristles.
Absolutely. You do so, and give me a strength roll.
Okay. My strength is 15. Yep. And I rolled a 5.
Well, with a bit of concerted hacking with your sword, you manage to turn these bristles covering this wall into bristles covering the floor. You're tramping about in the unpleasant fibrousness of it and crushing some dead shellfish with the soles of your big metal armored boots. And you have carved away an entrance to the room. Maybe that bit wasn't entirely necessary, but I wanted to stay coherent with what it was telling me. And now you find yourself in the room I was describing before. Along the floor is a trickling stream running from the south to the north, kind of flowing from a hole near where you've entered in the south wall. There is a doorway to the east, and there is also quite a small door to the west.
So where does the water's just coming from a hole in the wall?
From a hole in the wall kind of near you on the south wall.
And
it's
is there like
flowing to the north and kind of exits in another hole on the north wall.
Okay, is there like a channel, or is it just sort of just across the floor?
No, it's kind of just moving across the floor. There isn't like a channel cut, but there's like there are like cracks, small kind of like hefty-ish cracks in the floor just from the rough nature of the stone, and it's kind of picked its way through those and is kind of babbling through the center of the room.
Okay.
Can I check and see if it's fresh? If is the water fresh? Is it briny? Is it?
It
normal?
is absolutely salt water.
Blech, salt water.
Wow, yeah, by the sea.
I think we're
Yeah,
in
I was
the
going
sea.
to say I'm not sure why I was surprised at that, but nonetheless, I'm a butler, not a aquatic scientist.
It's good to know. Good job, Doran.
I think I need to make some kind of willpower save against making a joke at Doran about being a seaman. I pass. It's fine.
Thank God.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So one door is as good as the other, I suppose.
One's a bit bigger, right?
Yeah, the one in the west wall isn't entirely big enough for humans. If that's any kind of, I mean, you can hunch down and go through it, but it's if that's a deal breaker for you, then the one in the east wall is a bit more friendly.
Seems easier to go east at the moment.
Yeah, let's do that.
If we want some clarity, though, how's that map looking, Sam? Do you reckon you can share your screen?
Can I? I don't know if I can.
Maybe you can, maybe you can't. If not, can you take a screenshot and post it in Discord? Well,
I mean, it's impressive. It's very impressive.
I'm really looking forward to it. I know that.
Okay, let me take a screenshot.
While Sam's doing that, I think had we settled on the more human-sized door in the east wall.
I think so.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, I think
okay.
that's no effort.
Absolutely. Well, that room opens up. You emerge into a room where again, like a cave, the floor is rough coral, littered with stony spikes, like unpleasant kind of jutting up things. The ceiling has sort of odd fleshy openings on it that are twitching ever so slightly. There is a corridor on the east side of the room. You have emerged on the west. The corridor on the east side of the room has a musty smell coming from it, should we wish to place where we are. And that's it, I think. Yeah, and otherwise it's just the door you've emerged from with the sound of trickling water. So there we go. Yeah.
I failed to catch basically all of that because I was busy trying to make a screenshot.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I think the short version is that this room definitely looks like a trap.
Yeah, 100%.
You're not maybe entirely wrong. So Sam, it's for your purposes, it's a room and there's another passageway to the east.
Okay.
And I can tell you that because the passageway to the east has a musty smell coming from it, your map looks good to me.
Nice.
Yeah. I have a map in here, and mentally I'm like, yeah, I think we're looping around.
Yeah, I think this works.
So let's backtrack and not risk whatever is going to come out of those roof orifices.
Yeah, I don't really want to walk across this room.
Can I find a bit of detritus from the other room and just kind of throw it and see if the true nature of these roof holes exposes itself to us?
Expose your true nature to me, roof holes. Yeah, absolutely.
I will actually. That is exactly what I say, and the tone of voice I use as I do it.
Wonderful.
Has there ever been a more into the odd phrase?
Yes. Yeah, you absolutely do so. You go back and get a bit of kind of bristly detritus from the other room, right, and lob it in to here. The moment you do so, it will be entirely unsurprising that the twitchy, fleshy openings above sort of ease themselves open a little bit more in a really quite uncomfortable fashion, and those stony spikes littering the floor seem to be the things that are cast down from the fleshy openings and kind of further embed themselves in the ground. Not so much kind of stalagmites or stalactites. I can never remember which goes up and which goes down. Yeah, they're not a natural formation. These stony spikes are things that those fleshy openings are pitching downwards into the ground. You're quite glad that you did this, because you don't fancy being hit by one of those jagged stone spikes.
Take that, meat dungeon.
Yeah.
Well, I think a solid backtracking is in order, because nothing good comes out of this room.
Right. So we've got the little room west from the trickly cave.
Let's bring up Sam's wonderful drawing. I think there's only maybe one thing missing from this, and I'd say so. Yeah, I think you have 4 options to backtrack to, and in order of finding them, there is this blocked passageway of the fragile rainbow coral. Is everyone on Twitch all right? Because StreamYard just sent me an alert kind of message. How are we looking over on... are we live? Yeah, we're live.
Seem to be.
I think we're live.
Hi.
I think we did go down for a second.
Yeah, it looks like we went down for a second. But we'll look back now. Did anyone need to refresh, or did it just start up again? Out of interest.
I don't know. I had a look.
Did you miss our negotiated one-liner about the roof holes?
The alert only came up like exactly as I said that, so hopefully it's not too bad. Ooh, the bit rate's awful though. It's pretty bad. I wonder if StreamYard's being drubbed.
Welcome.
You were just chucking some detritus into the room with the fleshy openings, yeah. So yeah, big stone spikes came down, and it was a trap. So now they are negotiating where to go backwards to. So yeah, it seems all right now. It seems all right. It seems like we've got people. Okay. So we've got this passageway that has the delicate rainbow coral kind of blocking it. I believe we actually have an opening here that leads to like musty smelling room. It's either in there or in there.
Which we're currently theorizing is the other side of the
other side of the stone spike room, which is around here.
Yeah.
You have fresh air coming from this passageway here, and you have the small door here. So coral passageway, musty passageway, fresh air passageway, or little door. Little door would be the closest to you, obviously. So you're like,
shall we, for the sake of my curiosity, backtrack and approach this room from the safe, if musty, direction?
So go all the way back around here and
what? Just to check the layout.
Just to check that it's not some kind of the musty smell is not some kind of weird odor that develops when you leave a huge stonking great pile of gold in the middle of a room.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I guess we're heading back that way. Do you want to try these other little passages first? Like on the way?
Yeah, we could try the small door as well. It's local.
stone door's very local.
Oh, I'm going to go down the little passage.
Okay, you open that little door, and like I say, you have to kind of like hunch over a little bit and kind of to walk through it. Before I have to make a roll before I fully describe the what's in there, because I just rolled on the encounter table, which we've already had 2 of them for this floor so far. That is exactly the one I wanted. Okay, so the floor and walls of this room are covered in a kind of helix-shaped coral that's woven through itself and round itself. It's a color you can't quite identify, although you felt like maybe if you had a bit more of a look at it, you possibly could. In terms of how many walls it has, that's also kind of unclear. But again, perhaps if you just concentrated a bit more and properly counted them, you'd get a sense of it. There is also a set of wide, somewhat ornate double doors leading to the north, and there is a corridor with a sulfurous smell leading to the west. In the middle of the room, there is also a terrified individual, seems to be some form of explorer like yourselves, who is desperately looking around with a bandolier with lots of different fire bombs hung off it and a crossbow that he's kind of like waving rather dangerously around, and he's going 1, 2, 3, 4. he seems terrified and confused, and maybe a little trigger happy.
Have the this is a willpower roll if ever I've
Sure, yeah,
encountered one. I got a 1.
Ooh.
So that's a pass.
Well, as soon as he sees you, he's going to spin round and kind of lock eyes on you and says, are you really here? Someone else, please, please. And kind of dives to the floor and is kind of scrabbling at your boots with the crossbow to one side. Going,
hello. You seem to have got yourself in a bit of a pickle.
I need to go home. I just want to go home. It's nasty and it smells of fish.
Well, you're not wrong. I think you got to crawl through that little corridor, and then south, and then east, and then north, and then east, and then north, and then some other directions up the stairs.
Look out for the spikes, though.
Well, yeah. If you've been killed by spikes, you've gone too far the wrong way.
Which door?
Assuming that I'm capable of doing so, I'll point at the way that we came in.
Oh, the which wall is that? Don't think about it. Oh God! He starts kind of like crawling towards the door, like with his head rammed down into the floor, and crawls through the small door, and you hear him kind of as he's crawling away. He's left his crossbow behind.
It's salt water. I'll call down the passageway.
You hear him wading through the stream like...
Poor creature.
Seemed like a nice chap.
So this room is categorically wrong. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah. StreamYard is going crazy. Did anyone else just have all the cams go off one by one and then come back one by one?
No, but you are fuzzier than normal for me.
Oh no, now I'm fuzzy. That's terrible.
Only slightly still.
Only slightly fuzzy. I might turn my cam off and turn it back on again. Yeah, sorry, someone was asking about the walls.
No, so my statement was so this room is just categorically wrong, isn't it? Shall we leave?
It's ever so slightly non-Euclidean in nature. Well, there's nice double doors to the north, and there is a sulphurous smell coming from a corridor to the west. Are we not kind of thinking or kind of like examining the color or trying to count the number of the walls or anything like that? We're steering clear of that.
I'm trying to work out to what extent Grabina is interested in her surroundings.
Hey, make a roll. Just pick a roll and make it. You know what I mean? See what you think.
Willpower. She passed a willpower roll.
Yeah, I didn't care then.
Yeah. Right. So.
Okay.
Not falling into this knockoff pawn shop Cthulhu trap.
Pound Shop Cthulhu. Name my new band. Sure. So what we thinking then? The doors to the north or the corridor to the west with the sulphurous smell?
Like, I'm going to look around and see if anybody else seems to be expressing a preference. But if they don't, I'm going to pick the doors to the north on account of how they don't reek of sulfur.
Yeah, I'd also be heading north.
It's pretty solid. So you emerge into what seems to be a constructed chamber rather than a cave for once, with more even walls and floor. The vast majority of the room is taken up by a large rectangular glass chamber. It has a glass door on it that is kind of half ajar, so is easily opened. On the inside is a bulky metal lever embedded into the ground. That is all that is in the glass chamber. There is a corridor to the north from which grunting noises are emerging. There are the wide doors to the south that you just came through, and there is a narrow tunnel with a foul stench wafting from it to the west. For once, I did not. You've gotten through so many of these wandering encounters already in this floor. So I mean, I guess the first question is who is getting into the chamber and pulling the lever? You know,
I was just about to, yeah. Well,
that sounds
isn't
like
that
the answer
just
is
very
Chris.
tempting?
Is it?
Well, you can't just leave her.
Leave who?
The lever.
Is this going to turn into another who's on first sketch? I'd say no. That wasn't even like.
I was trying to set up.
That might have been Malt Borg, not this.
Grabina's just.
I was trying to set up a classic "Who Might You Be" sketch, but I think I'll make my way toward the lever with glee and intent in my eyes.
I will watch.
Sure.
Good luck, Doran.
I mean, the last three have been traps. This one's bound to be something interesting.
So, Doran, are you entering the chamber?
Yeah, I'll get into the almost certainly not a trap chamber.
You know, it's the chamber's pretty big, even though you're enclosed in glass. It's quite airy, certainly. Are you closing the door behind you?
Let me examine this door. Is it kind of glass and?
Yeah, it's glass. There's no handle to it. It's just a kind of glass panel that swings aside as part of the overall structure.
Yeah, I'll close the door, but I'll check that I can open it again.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can push it open and then close again. Yep.
Okay. Do you know what? It's time for me to do something unwise. I'm going to pull the lever.
This is Doran Creed's foamy shoot.
You pull the lever. There is a sort of resonating, clunking, and clicking and whirring sound, and then a hiss as from small holes in the floor that sort of slide open. A great rush of greenish gas comes out and envelops Doran Creed and the interior of the glass chamber. Doran, you can't help but get great huffs of it immediately, and it isn't unpleasant. In point of fact, it smells a little bit like mint, and you can breathe it just fine. But there's really rather a lot of it, and as it fills up the chamber, it becomes kind of harder and harder to see your companions outside. And Tiva and Grabina, you've lost all sight of Doran Creed in the middle of this right now. What is everyone doing as a reaction to this?
Can we try and open the door?
You can try.
I will try.
Yeah, you can't open the door. It's sealed shut. I just burped straight into the microphone. Massive apologies, folks.
No, good job.
We'll add it to the sound bank. I think Grabina will mostly panic ineffectually.
That's fair. How about what's Doran Creed doing inside?
So, alas, my internet cut out just as you were describing the first part of what happened there. So this material that's flooded the room, it's breathable but suspicious.
It's absolutely, yeah. It's a green gas that tastes faintly of mint. You can breathe just fine, and it's now thick enough in the chamber that you can't see your companions outside.
And what happens if I pull the lever again?
Absolutely nothing. It seems rooted in place for now.
Okay, well, I'll walk over to the door and see if I can push my way out.
You cannot.
Can I at least see my friends on the other side once again?
Yeah, I'd say you can kind of see a vague blur of Tiva kind of like trying to open the door alongside you. Also, Chris, can you give me a D3 roll, please?
Oh, no. Oh, dearie me. D3. A 1.
Okay. And then can you roll a D20 for me, please?
11.
Okay. And what is your current strength?
My current strength is 13.
Incorrect. Your current strength is 11 and will remain so from now on.
Oof.
The gas slowly clears away to reveal a Doran Creed looking slightly anemic and pale and just maybe, like he's aged not that much, maybe 5-10 years or so. Otherwise, absolutely identical. As soon as the gas kind of has fully rushed out of the chamber via what's actual route, you don't really know. There's a clunk from the lever and it moves back into place, and a click from the door and it just, swings open a little bit.
What the bloody hell was that?
What? You all right?
Notionally,
You look a bit.
yes, you look fine.
Oh, thanks. Right, so you discovered the glass box of green gas of oldness. It's not a brilliant treasure, is it?
Just can we have one that isn't a trap?
It doesn't seem to be how it works.
New suit of armor. Oh, let's go somewhere else.
The snake was nice.
I just
He
love
was.
that out of all the
The
things
snake
you
was
could have,
nice.
out of all the things you could have rolled, it was one of the least dramatic things that could have happened. You went from 13 to 11. So
It's still pretty traumatic for him.
yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. No one wants new liver spots on their hands out of nowhere. Yeah. No one else, I take it, given that all, as far as you're concerned, this chamber does is make you slightly older. I take it no one's venturing in for another huff of that gas.
I'm good, thanks. In a way, all rooms that you go in make you slightly older, Doran. So
Thank you, Grabina. That's startlingly helpful. I'm
you're
not
welcome.
even being sarcastic. That's some high level philosophy.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So we have, as I say, a corridor with grunting noises to the north and a narrow tunnel with a foul stench wafting from it to the west.
Foul stench, as in sulphurous.
No, not particularly sulphurous.
Okay, a different kind of foul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait,
What is it with this meat dungeon and rooms that smell strange?
I don't understand a single thing that I've seen since I've come down here.
I think a meat dungeon and strange smells make a lot of sense to me. Where did we go? I don't have the exits from the room with the lever. And I don't know.
Sorry. So there's a corridor with there's a corridor with grunting noises to the north and a narrow tunnel with a foul stench wafting out of it to the west.
We should go north and help whoever's having issues up there. It sounds
grunting.
quite unpleasant, probably.
Well, my gran always said, "Follow the grunting."
Your gran said a lot of things. All right, we're following the grunting, like Grabina's gran, like Granny Gill used to say.
Grabina's already shaping up to be one of those kind of characters that I don't know what she's going to say until she says it. So I'm very sorry.
She's just working through you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just channeling like a higher power.
Yeah.
Any telling tales subs in chat, this might be one of the few chances you can use the never forget Pappy emote and it'll actually tangentially make sense.
Yeah. Never forget Granny. Never regret Granny. A message
Never
we should all
regret Granny.
take. I genuinely wonder exactly how many of our regular viewers know what the fuck we talk about when we put never regret Pappy in the chat. Who knows? Because it's literally like our second or third stream or something. But there we go. All right, we're following the grunting then. You find yourself in a room again, more like a cave than a chamber. There is the kind of corridor you've emerged from, and there is a corridor leading to the east, from which the sound of flowing water is coming. Within this cave, though, there are some very large chunks of coral, mostly looking like the iron coral from the floor above. They are stacked in piles on the west and the east side of the room. And in the center of the room, there are 3 large faceless humanoids looking for all the world like they're kind of molded out of clay. They are moving in a sort of kind of like almost like an automated fashion, and they are moving those large chunks of coral from one side of the cave to the other, and then back, and then back, and then back. They do not seem to have noticed you in the slightest.
I'm sort of looking to the others.
Give Tifa a glance. A kind of, you've got 5 seconds to do something sensible before I say good afternoon to them glance.
Maybe we should just leave them alone. They seem...
Too late. Good afternoon!
Pick up coral. Trudge. Put coral down. Pick up another bit of coral. Trudge. Put coral down. That's what they're doing. I'm not saying that.
Oh, I
wonder
was
how
hoping there was self-narrating.
They're grunting there, right? Without,
yeah, they're making kind of soft, kind of.
But they don't have like anything resembling a mouth or a face.
It's just like a kind of.
Okay.
There doesn't seem to be any pattern to it. Like they don't seem like they're talking to each other. They're just making this noise kind of mindlessly.
Well,
Darn.
They seem to be rather busy.
How can you be so sure it's the afternoon, Doran?
It's the concept rather than the time.
It's the afternoon in a very general sense.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the things you learn at Butler School.
I think we have abandoned the concept of time passing down here, but yeah.
Well, what are the exits?
There's only one. There is a corridor to the east with the sound of flowing water coming from it.
I wonder, is this the same river that we crossed earlier, the saltwater thing? We should go
Might
and check
be.
it out.
It
Let's
definitely
go.
sounds louder, a lot louder and more voluminous.
Sounds more
Charlie.
interesting than these guys.
That's
Okay.
not fair. Manual labor is a grueling task, and they're doing very well at it. Good job, gentlemen.
Solidarity. So you head to the east by the sound of it. It's a short corridor that emerges into quite the room. It is rather large. There is only kind of one other regular exit to it on the far east of the room, from which more foul stench is emerging. And obviously there's the exit you came through, from which there are grunting noises. Running from east to west in the room, or sort of kind of like, I think diagonally, according to kind of like from the northeast to the southwest of the room, is a wide canal of filthy water. Both of the entrances where it's coming through are blocked off by iron bars, kind of relatively thick iron bars with very little gap between them. The walls are covered in tiles, quite simplistic, but well built and well placed tiles that at first glance seem just kind of a sort of familiar style. And then for those of you who have been down there, which is probably all of you, you suddenly realize are absolutely identical to all the tiling on the walls of the Bastion underground canal network, which has kind of canals with some bars blocking stuff off. It occurs to you kind of quite like this one. But you're a long way from Bastion. But people say that the canal network goes all sorts of unexpected places. So I guess here.
Is the water flowing, or is it?
Oh, yeah. Flowing at a fair rate.
Okay.
Is the water in the Bastion Canal network salt water?
It is not. But it is filthy. Like this water is.
If I see Tiva going across to test the water, I'll be like, Tiva, if this is what I think we all think it is, you do not want to test that water with your mouth.
Well, that is true, but what if it's not what we all think it is? Then we would need to test it to know.
Oh, I just cannot unadvise you enough that even a facsimile of Bastion Canal water is... It's not adventuring, it's adventure knotting.
It's worth noting that across the canal from you, as well as that passageway to the east, is also a wide shaft in the ground that seems to have a ladder poked down it.
That's odd.
This whole thing is odd. We're right into it.
Oh, God.
I walked into that.
He said it. He said the name. Absolutely.
So, like, I guess I'd like to just like compare and contrast this room that we're in with the actual Bastion Underground Canal network. Like, does that the Bastion Canal network, do things flow there? Like, do people, like, when we're talking about canals, are we talking about an actual like mode of transport, or is it?
Yeah. Some people use like little gondolas and narrow boats and all sorts of stuff down there.
Okay,
but not all of it is accessible. Like various bits of it are blocked off or dangerous or go to odd places or whatever. But
so this room is presumably, if it is part of the network, is a part that's like not navigable because you can't really get in or out of it on a boat, right?
No, not unless someone finds a way past those iron bars.
Yeah.
From the corridor behind you, on the kind of the room back there, you start to hear a noise that is not like the kind of grunting and manual labor of those kind of huge automatons. You hear a kind of like wet, slimy shuffling starting. And from a not inconsiderable number of sounds like number of individuals.
I don't like the sound of that.
No.
Is there a bridge over the canal that would allow us to get to the other side?
There is no bridge, but you could probably make it with a decent leap.
We might have to jump.
Now?
Anyone who glances back at the kind of corridor in the room you came from sees a figure emerge round the kind of corner past the automatons who are still blithely working away. It is a slimy humanoid with what looks like a single giant fish eye in place of a head. It looks at you, thrashes a sort of barbed chain in your direction, and makes a terribly threatening gurgling noise. There are a number of other individuals identical individuals lurking behind it.
My friends, I don't think a good afternoon is going to cut it in this scenario.
I agree, especially
It would
without
have to
even-
be an exceptional afternoon.
I attempt to jump the canal. I assume that's
you can
dexterity,
roll-
right?
Either dexterity or strength.
Let's do strength then. That is a pass.
Grabina leaps powerfully over to the other side.
And
I
I'll
will,
pull out the musket when I land.
I will follow along shortly afterwards.
Okay, give
And
me
I get
either
an
a
8.
strength or dexterity.
Well, I rolled strength because my dex is Garbo, and I rolled an 8, which is a success.
Then you also land safely on the other side. Tiva Oliphant?
I will also attempt to jump with using strength. My strength is 15. And I rolled a 5. Hooray.
Hey, you've all landed safely on the other side. A group of these slimy, hunched gazers swarms out of that corridor and is kind of lurking on the other side of the canal. There are 6 of them in total. They're all thrashing these barbed chains around and leaving an unpleasant bluish-green gunk behind them as they are moving towards you rather threateningly. One of them looks to be kind of like investigating the dirty water and seems to be about to kind of like dive into it to cross and pursue you further.
Should we musket them? Or shoot
I
them
say we
generally?
make an escape and take that ladder down behind us. Seems tactical.
Sure. You is that what we're doing?
Right, so the ladder goes up from here?
No, it goes down.
Down.
A wide shaft down.
Okay, and then there is also a doorway here, right? Did you say?
Yeah, there's a corridor leading off to the east with a foul stench coming from it.
Okay, but we're gonna head. Okay, I'll follow Doran.
Do they have what? Do they have limbs?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just worried about more fins, or oh, you're on mute.
I'm just trying to figure out if they can follow us down this ladder or not.
Yeah, awkwardly, probably, but certainly not as easily as they could follow you down a corridor.
You go down first. I've got a plan.
All right. I will go down the ladder.
I'll wait for Doran to go down as well. And as I go down last, I will fish around in my adventuring bag and pull out the tub of grease that I have with me and grease up the ladder on the way
Grease
down.
the ladder on the way down. Yeah.
This decision will definitely not come back to
Not come
bite
back
us.
to haunt you. Yeah, in any way. In any way.
I can't imagine us ever needing to get up this ladder.
I'd like a dex roll to see how well you grease the ladder on the way down.
Sure. I need a 12. I get an 8. So I successfully grease
As,
possibly our only
as
exit.
Granny Gill used to say, greasing a ladder on the way down is better than pulling it up after you. Eh? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Social commentary here on Telling Tales. So you take the ladder down the wide shaft and you find yourself in a very long east to west corridor. All the walls are made out of some kind of like whitish, marble-ish substance. The north wall has framed abstract patterns on it. The details show lions, cherub-like figures, and a city in flames. The floor and walls around, mostly covering the marble, are covered in steel panels that are warm to the touch. Obviously, there is a ladder up a wide shaft in the middle of it. To the let me get this right. So there are 4 exits from this really long corridor. To the west is a set of steel doors. To the east is what looks like a short, narrow passageway at the end of the corridor. And on the south side of the wall, not too far from each other, and also not far from where you are standing in the center of the corridor, kind of in the very center is what appears to be a kind of melted passageway where the marble has like sort of slurred and gooped together by some unnaturally powerful heat or force of some kind. And then a short distance from the east to that is just kind of a set of normal looking doors. I would also, Stephen, like a D20 roll.
Sure thing. 13.
Okay. That's all I need.
We should take the narrow corridor. If they do manage to pursue us, they will have a hard job making their numbers count in close quarters.
That's true. They'll be greased up though, so they'll be able to get through quite easily.
It's true.
Gosh darn it!
So are you dashing to the narrow passageway to the east at the end of the east end of the corridor? There's a very big long hallway corridor, Sam. So big, long.
Okay.
Long, big.
Big and long.
Long big. Yeah, like I guess we have to make a decision about which of the exits to take somehow. So I'm happy to go with Doran's lead on that.
Doran's lead. Well then, you scramble in an attempt to further get away from the fisheye creatures up above. You scramble to the east and make your way through that narrow corridor and find yourself in a much smaller room where the walls are made of a kind of dull red stone that seems sort of soft. There is a pool of milky water in the center of the room with a gold thorn-like pattern around the outside. The surface of the water is kind of like bobbing around slightly as if there's something within the pool creating a slight wake. But the pool itself is nowhere near the size of the moon pool where Munford got grabbed. If we're concerned about something identical, there is obviously the narrow passageway you came out of, and there is a corridor to the south with an odd chemical smell coming from it. If anyone is curious and has a good memory, we once saw Helroth being chased around this pool by some form of mechanical tormentor
with pain wires.
Well, I think we should take a moment to rest here, because if we have to fight these pursuers, then we have to do it where we stand a chance of winning.
Well, now, I would say that as you're standing here, you can probably still hear a little bit back down the corridor and kind of up that shaft, and you hear a faint gurgling noise coming from those creatures. It's not coming closer, but it does vaguely sound celebratory.
Well, I'm no expert in the count of the fish people, but it sounds like they're happy we left.
Maybe they just chase us.
Maybe they just really wanted the ladder greased.
Maybe they just misplaced the canal.
I would not be surprised at any of those things in this hellish meat dungeon. Shall we? I don't fancy. I'm intrigued by this pool, but I've had bad experiences with pools so far on this trip. Don't quite fancy my chances going fishing.
I think we should stay away. We don't want to end up like Mr. Dumbbell.
Have you ever found treasure in a milky pool?
No.
Well then.
Are we taking the only exit from the room?
Oh, yeah.
You're on mute, Chris, by the way, if you were trying to talk.
I was going to say, just one point though. I have been in the presence of some phenomenally wealthy people, and they do tend to keep very expensive fish in very ostentatious pools. Just if anyone was tempted.
Well, if there is a fish in there, where are you going to put it in? I just, I'm going to wander off through the. Was the other exit south?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
chemical
Tiva-
smell coming from.
If Tiva has any
Yeah.
bread, she's gonna throw it into the milky pool.
Yeah, I can say you have a bit of bread.
Just throw a little piece into the milky pool. See
Sure.
if any fish come to eat it.
No fish. Well, at first you think it's a fish coming to eat it because a kind of a slender sort of like red, kind of the top of something red, kind of emerges near the bread that you throw in and kind of noses at it slightly, and then sort of seems to be kind of disinterested in that, and then carries on coming up and kind of until it's the thing you have attracted is kind of floating above the surface of the water. It is a foot-long, red, bean-shaped thing that looks like nothing. It looks identical to that kind of dull red stone that the walls are made of. So it is a foot-long, red, bean-shaped living stone. It is floating and emitting a curious-sounding noise as it looks at you. A sort of... Can you give me a willpower roll, please?
Yes. So I need a 9. Roll a 3.
It's because it's more or less, it's not a cylinder, it's bean shaped, but as it's hovering there in the air, it just tilts slightly, which you presume is its equivalent of going kind of examining you curiously and kind of friendly, friendly in a friendly fashion. A quizzical bean tilt, as Steve has pointed out in chat, which is a phrase I never want to hear again. Don't type that into Google, folks.
Hello, Mr. Bean or Mrs. Bean. Sorry to disturb you. I thought you might like some bread, but I didn't realize you were a bean. I thought you might be a fish.
The noise seems to kind of, be sort of understanding of this misapprehension, but hopefully you now realize that this is not a fish. You see 3 other like little red stone-like curving bits kind of like poke up through the water, kind of like checking out what's going on up here.
Oh my God, protect them. They're adorable.
Oh, yeah. You have a bean family. It's lovely. One day I'll have a family like that one day. Although I would rather not live in a milky pool, but then again, I'm not a bean. So good for you, Mr. or Mrs. Bean.
Good work, Tiva. Good work.
The bean kind of floats a little closer, makes another kind of quizzical noise, and just kind of seems to be sort of hovering slightly up and down, kind of examining you a little bit.
Well, sorry for disturbing you. I think perhaps we should be on our way, but it was lovely to meet you. If anybody comes here with chain wires looking for us, we would be very grateful if you would tell them we went the other way.
One of the beans in the pool kind of hovers up and glides gently over to the doorway where you were, and is kind of like tilting slightly side to side as if kind of like just keeping an eye out.
Oh my God, they're so precious.
The other bean by you makes a kind of noise, which seems somehow to indicate that you get the impression, that these individuals, they're looking for some kind of purpose. And this bean's purpose, maybe they'll find it alongside you. That's the impression you get.
Do you want to come with us? Well, we'd love to have a bean companion, wouldn't we, Doran and Gabrina?
Do we know the implications of having just? Are we in a position as a family where we are okay to adopt a pet?
Well, we all miss Munford Dunbell very much, and I know that he can never be replaced in our hearts, but perhaps this bean actually can.
Okay. One, I'm not responsible for working out what it is, and two, I'm not cleaning it.
Doran, I think it's slightly rude to refer to our new companion as a pet.
Can we call it?
Capable of understanding.
Call it what?
We'll call it Munford.
Munford Dunby.
Okay. Munford Dunby! Oh my god! I'm done.
I just say I definitely don't think what I just said was worth that reaction, but I'm so glad that I got it nevertheless.
That's it.
And you know what? Was slightly early, but I don't see an impending cliffhanger any better than Munford Dunby. So on that note, with a new companion to our group of adventurers, let's wrap up into the odd there for now. So yeah, you're on, as you may have detected, you're on the bottom floor already. Pacing through this through the Iron Coral tonight. Thank you so much for everyone viewing and hopefully enjoying. Sorry, I had the little break. I have seen that it did break in half on Twitch, but we'll be able to get this over to YouTube in one piece thanks to the wonders of StreamYard. So thank you for that, and thank you to my excellent players. Hopefully we'll have Mike back next week, but we'll have to see on that. So if you've got any comments or questions, fling them in chat. And I will do promo while that happens. If you check below, there's links to the usual things like social media and Discord and Patreon, links to YouTube and Twitch. You're watching this on one of those. Why not check out the other? Give us a subscribe and a follow and blah, 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 blah. You know all that business. You have seen the internet before. We run 3 shows weekly at the moment. Mondays is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay with Sam. Wednesdays is Into the Odd, obviously, and Thursdays is the Cincinnati Chronicles, our World of Darkness anthology series that's currently halfway through our Wraith the Oblivion arc. Monthly, we run one-shots of various systems. The latest of which was this last weekend and was Morkborg. That has yet to appear on YouTube, but will do shortly. But YouTube has all of our previous one-shots on. There's all sorts of stuff on there. There's Alien and One Ring, Honey Heist and The Expanse, Dune and Tales from the Loop, Cyberpunk and Wander Home, and probably others, Troika. I can't remember any others. That might be all of them. I can't remember. Yeah, so check that out. Our next one is Absurdia, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse indie system that I think has only just dropped in PDF form that Pierre will be running some point during July. So keep an eye out for that one. And that's promo. That's all the promo done. Let's go to the chat, which I didn't flag all the way through, so I'm just going to start from the top. Oh, God, which means Munford Dumbbell. Fish food. Thank you, John. Oh, God. This from 42.
Oh, no.
He'll be back. You can't keep a famous explorer down.
No.
It's not a whole one.
That was spookily accurate,
right? Yeah. Don't kick food. Good to see it. It'll just constantly regenerate damage until the snuff runs out. I think possibly so. And as others have said, I think it might have been an infinite snuff box. There might be an immortal sea serpent now. Well, there you go. There we go.
Definitely a someone else problem.
Trust into the odd to have leggy fish. A couple of them now, I think. Sticky slaps are almost certainly better than musty slaps. I had musty slaps once. Took me ages to recover.
I'm low-key sad we got chased out of the second floor because I was kind of interested to find what horrors I'd been avoiding.
You can always go back up to it. You can always.
Oh no, there's an army following us.
Well,
I've got one of those brains that sort of like just sort of veers towards wanting to be completionist with these things. So, like, if we don't go back and
do all the side quests,
do all the other passageways on that floor, then
sure,
it's going to feel like unfinished business.
Definitely be curious.
I eventually learned about buffets and hazelnut yogurt. One day I will learn about Pappy. There we go. Yeah,
I've been on this stream for a year and I don't know about Pappy.
Pappy was a thing said in a very early session by the person you replaced in Simbaran. The person you replaced by L, who you replaced in Simbaran. So,
I mean, if this tells us anything, it tells us loud and clear we need to revisit the Twitch emotes.
Yes.
And make more of them about Pappy.
And hazelnut. We need some hazelnut yogurt and buffets there as well.
Yeah. I remember
buffets was also before your time. Yeah.
Did Elle say something about regretting Pappy? I remember her saying Pappy.
She said her character she was talking about her character's dad, and she referred to him in character as Pappy, and then immediately looked consumed by self-torment and regret that she used the term Pappy on, like, and I should clarify for maybe our American viewers, Pappy in a more old-fashioned Pappy sense, rather than a more modern parlance. And it just sounded kind of weird. And she immediately regretted it so much that at that moment we formed a kind of hashtag never regret Pappy sort of theme. So there we go. Will John be playing Munford Dumbean next week? No, he won't. But I don't know. It depends if he wants to tune in, run a stream and just make kind of noises. Then he's welcome. But I like this from Steve. I hope that if when Hellroth turns up again, Munford Dumbean inexplicably hates him.
It'd just be, narratively coming full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. 42. Pappy is something only hillbillies say. Yeah, well, in many ways, FNA was kind of a Simbaroom hillbilly, so it kind of made sense. Why L said it, I have no idea. L is not a hillbilly, but hence the instant self-loathing and regret, which we captured as an unsuccessful meme. So, and then gifted it to all of our subscribers as an emote to use. Aren't you happy with that? So, there we go, folks. That was Into the Odd this week. Join us tomorrow for Cincinnati Chronicles. Join us next week for Into the Odd. Join us on Monday for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Take care and stay safe, and we will see you soon. Farewell, folks. Farewell.
Bye-bye.